plant from pathogenic fungus such as the Facilium root, certain molds. So we had these groundbreaking trials in the cash crop industry where we solved corn smut. Corn smut is the mold when you go to buy an ear of corn at the market. You open up the top of the corn to look for the worm or the mold. We just solved that mold issue this summer with our trial. And now as it translates to the cannabis industry, we're actually headed into a trial with Alara Healthcare to help solve some of these issues that are currently taking place in the cannabis industry. Alara Healthcare is the largest dispensary provider in the state of Pennsylvania, and last month was acquired by a company out of Canada for a deal worth 125 to 225 million dollars, which currently is the largest.
Many of those accounts, but we also touch smaller accounts, large private groups, every asset of the industry. We're touching vertically integrated groups, folks just doing processing, manufacturing, cultivation. And the NFL is taking a hard stance against cannabis at the time. But I kind of witnessed that conversation being taking place in locker rooms. Guys really looking for an alternative to opioids, which is obviously a huge problem in the country, but a huge problem in professional sports as well. Also to that, I sit on the board of directors for the National Epilepsy Foundation. I've been involved with the epilepsy community over 10 years. My grandmother, who raised me, developed seizures late in life.
2013, when I won my first license, which that was in Las Vegas. And since then, we've acquired 16 licenses around the country, my partner and I. And we are currently involved with a bunch of different of the larger companies that these gentlemen are discussing and talking about. Some of the publicly traded IPOs. I've had 2 companies that were acquired. The funny thing actually is, the one state that I didn't win in and my appeal didn't work was
Ohio? Pennsylvania. Oh, okay.
So that's the one thing I was glad to be asked to come and speak today. Like Jeff said, with the ancillary services part of it, that's huge as well. And then last but not least, even the different individual situations you can get in to work inside of one of the facilities. That's something that's big as well. So, if you guys, I'm not sure how much time we have today. I literally just landed and shot over here as soon as I could, but I want to make sure that I give you guys my contact information. You can reach out and I'll answer questions or concerns, because to be honest, instead of hearing from me, I'm more interested in hearing from you and what the questions that you guys have.
State representative was saying that in Maryland, they proposed legislation that even now on the packaging of at the dispensaries for the products that they were listing how much percentage of pesticides or whatever other heavy metals or residual solvents are in that product, so that the consumer, I'm a medical patient myself,
market, so to speak. So I think the opportunities are there. I also think, it's just really a matter of time regarding legalization, for more states regarding recreational use and eventually federal legalization. It's not really if, at this point, it's just when. So I think folks need to prepare for that and try to kind of go where everybody else isn't going, if that makes sense, in this space. Again, everybody wants to be in retail. We tell folks to maybe kind of look at a different lane, but that's kind of our position and what we see in the market.
I think one of the biggest challenges would have to be the overall lack of knowledge the crazy thing is it's by individuals who are actually in the industry, as well as the people who are not in the industry yet. And so if the people who are not in the industry can't get valid information or good information from the people who are involved, that's a huge problem. And so panels like this, these are great, but you guys need to make sure that you're trying to understand what role you could play in the industry. Like Jeff said, it's important. It's very important. And being prepared in real estate, who finds properties. Like, all of those things are crucial and important when you're going after licenses. All of those things are very, very vital. And I mean, to be honest with you, I could never get a license in a state that I've never been in. Like right now, I hold a license in Oklahoma. I've never even set foot there because I was able to, put my resources out there, find a broker there who was able to get me some real estate, which is the number one thing that you need if you're going to be applying. But again, the lack of knowledge is a challenge in its own. So just start learning as much as you can. Make sure you're taking good notes, and then follow up. Please follow up on the opportunity to, go back and forth and create a relationship with people like the individuals up here and the other people you're going to meet downstairs in some of the booths and, at this conference in general.
I just want to add too, to his point, from a pure business strategy perspective, think about where the industry is going, right? So if we know federal legalization is inevitable, competition is going to be times 100 in 5 years, right? So if you're competing with an MSO on price, just know that you have to have another differentiator if you're going to survive in 5 or 10 years from now. I mean, I think it's good to get in the industry now, but if you're not thinking about 5, 10, 15 years from now, when federal legalization has gone through, the MSOs, the multi-state operators have come in, and then they possibly, let imports come in as well. You just got to factor all that in. I hate to see folks get in the industry, they're highly levered up, they're in a ton of debt, right? And then competition comes in and it kind of wipes you out.
Last week, with the owner, the co-founder of this CBD drink company, that has just started in May and has gained all this traction. From May till now, they've earned $22,000 in sales just from doing conferences just like this. So now they want to scale, and Jalal Beats manager calls me because he knows I'm operating in the industry and have some strategic people around me, and now they want me to come on board.
Your team, who else is riding with you, and then your strategy.
Actually, now I'm going to go into individual questions. And just so you guys know, just so we level set everyone, we will ask questions at the end of this discussion, so about 10 minutes before this is supposed to end, so about 2:50. So if you have any questions, please write notes down and hold them, and we will try to get to as many. And of course, we are all here to answer questions afterward as well. So just wanted to kind of level set everyone. So for Don, when it comes to raising capital, in this
industry. So, but that's a good point. But up until that point, there is no, and even still today, that bill that has passed, it has to go through the other house now, and so it has to actually be approved before we can even, again start taking our money over to these other banks. But back to the point, raising capital again, that's something that you need to understand. What are you raising the capital against? Any state that I applied in on my own, I would absolutely lose, no question. And so that means all you guys are going to lose for sure. And with that said, if we were to team up though, and I was to take this gentleman and his processing and his background and his, biochemistry, background, and then Jeff and his background in insurance, and then my situation, and then I go and find a couple of other individuals, okay? And so then we start to develop a team. But guess what? None of us have ever sold any cannabis. None of us have ever grown any cannabis or any of that. The same thing. And so now, guess what those IPOs need? Assets. They need things to look pretty. They want things to look good so that when they acquire those things, guess what happens to their stock? It goes up. And so my strategy was, I'm going to make them look as pretty as possible. And then I'm going to make them pay. But even before that, or make Coca-Cola in Texas, you got to have one. And so I marketed my license out. And what I told them was, I'll let you build your product with me, for sure. But this is what I need you to do. I want you to build me a facility. After you build my facility for me, I want you to hire me a staff. I want you to put somebody inside of the place to train that staff, because I don't know the first thing about it. And I want you to teach them how to make and grow the product that you need them to grow to make your product that you're trying to brand in my state. You show them how to do it. And after they get done and they grow it and they cultivate it and they bring it to market, I need you to buy it from me. And you know what they said? Okay. And so, after they said okay, we started doing that for a year or two. And we run that script for like 2 years. And I told them, and if you do all of that, I'll give you about 20% of the company. So now they hold 20%. And they could put that on their books that they own 20%.
Moving this on. I want to talk about local residents, Dozie. Are you working with local residents and are you offering any type of job training or readiness in the future of your business, for your business?
So right now we are still considered a early stage company, even though we've had all these fabulous results. So I've quantified very heavily who are going to be the first, second, third, fourth, fifth hires in the company. One of the guys walked in here early. He's from PA. So, you know, it's great to have local people that I will onboard and will have an impact in the industry, especially in the state of Pennsylvania.
So Jeff, going kind of off of this question, how can Black and brown people enter the space from an ancillary level like yourself? And can you highlight some opportunities that are
Like his, this is inevitable spends. These expenses are extremely high. From the insurance standpoint, I know my
is winging it? Because there's a lot of that in this industry of, I got this fly, I got this flower, I got this mix, and it's in the plastic bag, and it's not necessarily, please talk to that, because you guys are laughing, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Talk to both the professionalism and how can someone basically start working with you? Yes.
It's kind of funny you said that. But yeah, she's 100% right. A lot of people do wing it. And to be honest, the industry kind of called for that at first. So it was acceptable. But it is important to whatever, and I probably won't be anywhere around to make that secondary decision or when we're going to give somebody else the chance to come in and take over that, you know, whatever that contract was that we had with you initially. Compliance director pretty much does in these businesses right
Make
now.
sure it was right or not.
Tell me the rules.
Yep.
Because I have no idea.
larger cannabis-focused staffing groups, and they look to get people out of traditional industries to hire them in larger or growing cannabis companies. I know a couple of like really close friends, but you got to be able to break that down. I don't care if you're packaging, I don't care if you try to be his head of operations.
The industrial totes that the product will go into, but one of the things that I gave tasked my project manager with at the university was that we're a sustainable company, so any vendor that comes to the table, I need to know, and we need to be comfortable with their sustainable initiatives in themselves as well, because how can we take product from someone and be a vendor when we're solving sustainable issues and they might not be following any type of sustainability initiatives? So that's a key for us as a company. As far as coming into the company, I mean, just hi, how are you doing? I'm Dozie and Bunny. He looked back and he's like, you got also a lot of people masking.
Hire somebody if you have
Something else too that can honestly spin into you learning that product and knowing it. Opportunity is there. I know that in certain states and in different cities, they have trimmers. We got a company called Trim Red.
I just wanted to add to the nurse part. We can hospice, so we're using cannabis as a form of therapy. Most nurses are not familiar with cannabis or hospice administration.
The mold with the plants, or are you doing like greenhouse as opposed to earth? You know, because of the pollution of the earth.
So we did both. So in hemp cultivation, your planting starts in a grow house.
Right.
In planters, and
Fungus already took up housing, so it acts as a barrier
Right.
for these other pathogenic fungus that are causing the industry these issues.
All right, thank you.
Just to add to that, the only reason I know this because of insurance. So we just picked up a client on the West Coast that tests the soil for microbials.